Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Dham ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham ki Jai, श्री मथुरा धाम की जय, यमुना माई की जय, गंगा माई की जय, भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti. So today we are reading from Canto 2, The Cosmic Manifestation. Text, chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service. Text 24. Tat shamsaram hirde batedam yad kraya manir hari namadheya na vikriyetad yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshaha. Tad shamsaram hirdayam batedam yad graha manir hari namadeha Deha na vikriyetad yata vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshaha. Tat shamsaram hridayam batedam yad grahe manir hari nam deha na vikriyetad yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harshaha. Anyone would like to repeat?
Tadashram hridayam batedam gadgrihya manir harinamadeya na vikreta yada vikaro netra jalam gatra riheshu harshaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Tad ashmas saram hirdayam patedam yad kriya manir hari namadheya na vikriyeta yada vikaro netre jalam gatre ruheshu harshaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Tarasma saram hridayam bhatedam yadgriyam manay harinamadhyaya na vikriye thata yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruhesu arsa.
Thank you, Mataji.
Tadashmasaram hridayam batedam yadgrihyamanair harinamadhyayai navikriye tatha yadai vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harsha.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else? All right, let's go to the synonyms. Tat, that. Asma sharam is steel framed. Hirdayam, heart. Bataidam, certainly that. Yat, which. Graya manir, in spite of chanting. Hari Nama, the holy name of the Lord. Deya, by concentration of the mind. Na, does not. Vikriyeta, change. Atha, thus. Yada, when. Vikraha, when. Vikraha, reaction. Netre, in the eyes. Jalam, tears. Gatra ruhesh, at the pores. Harshaha, eruptions of ecstasy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Certainly, that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of once chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and hairs stand on end. Purport. We should note with profit that in the first 3 chapters of the second canto, a gradual process of development of devotional service is being presented. In the first chapter, the first step in devotional service for God conscious by the process of hearing and chanting has been stressed, and a gross conception of the personality of Godhead in His universal form for the beginners is recommended. By such a gross conception of God through the material manifestations of His energy, one is enabled to spiritualize the mind and the senses and gradually concentrate the mind upon Lord Vishnu, the Supreme, who is present as the super soul in everyone's heart and everywhere, in every atom of the material universe. The system of Panch Upasana, recommending 5 mental attitudes for the common man, is also enacted for this purpose, namely gradual development, worship of the Supreme that may be in the form of fire, electricity, the sun, the mass of living beings, Lord Shiva, and at last the impersonal super soul, the partial representation of Lord Vishnu. They are all nicely described in the second chapter, but in the third chapter, further development is prescribed after one has actually reached the stage of Vishnu worship or pure devotional service, and the mature stage of Vishnu worship is suggested herein in relation to the change of heart. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as subordinate servant, which is his eternal constitutional position. So, with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the sense of material enjoyment, by a false sense of lording it over the world, and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. Vidhi bhakti, or regulated devotional service by the limbs of the body, namely the eyes, the ears, the nose, the hands, and the legs, as already explained herein before, is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of limbs of the body. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. If there is no such change, the heart must be considered steel-framed, for it is not melted even when there is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. We must always remember that hearing and chanting are the basic principles of discharging devotional duties. And if they are properly performed, there will follow the reactional ecstasy with signs of tears in the eyes and standing of the hairs on the body. These are natural consequences and are preliminary symptoms of the bhava stage, which occurs before one reaches the perfectional stage of prema, love of Godhead. If the reaction doesn't take place, even after continuous hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, it may be considered to be due to offenses only. That is the opinion of Sandarbha. In the beginning of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, if devotee has not been very careful about evading the 10 kinds of offenses at the feet of the holy name, certainly the reaction of feelings of separation will not be visible by tears in the eyes and standing of hair on end. The bhava stage is manifested by 8 transcendental symptoms, namely inertness, perspiration, standing of hair on end, failing in the voice, trembling, paleness of the body, tears in the eyes, and finally trance. The nectar of devotion A summary study of Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu explained those symptoms and vividly describe other transcendental developments, both in study and accelerating manifestations. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very critically discussed all these bhava displays in connection with some unscrupulous neophytes imitating the above symptoms for cheap appreciation. Not only Vishwanath Chakravarti, but also Srila Rupa Goswami treated them very critically. Sometimes all the above 8 symptoms of ecstasy are imitated by the mundane devotees, Prakritya Sahijyas, but the pseudo symptoms are at once detected when one sees the pseudo devotee addicted to so many forbidden things. Even though decorated with the signs of a devotee, a person addicted to smoking, drinking, or illegitimate sex with women cannot have all the above mentioned ecstatic symptoms. But it is seen that sometimes these symptoms are willfully imitated. And for this reason, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti accuses the imitators of being stone-hearted men. They are sometimes even affected by the reflection of such transcendental symptoms. Yet if they still do not give up the forbidden habits, then they are hopeless cases for transcendental realization. When Lord Chaitanya met Srila Ramananda Rai of Kavar on the bank of Godavari, the Lord developed all these symptoms. But because of the presence of some non-devotee Brahmanas who were attendants of the Raya, the Lord suppressed these symptoms. So sometimes they are not visible in the body of the first-class devotee for certain circumstantial reasons. Therefore, real study bhava is definitely displayed in the matter of cessation of material desires, shanti. Utilization of every moment in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, avyartha kalatvam, eagerness for glorifying the Lord constantly, nam gane sadaruchi, attraction for living in the land of the Lord, pritistat vasati stale, complete detachment from the material happiness, virakti and pridelessness, manashunyata. One who has developed all these transcendental qualities is really possessed of the bhava stage, as distinguished from the stone-hearted imitator or mundane devotee. The whole process can be summarized as follows. The advanced devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord in a perfectly offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone can actually relish the transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord. And the result of such realization is reflected in the cessation of all material desire, etc., as mentioned above. The neophytes, due to their being in the lower stage of devotional service, are invariably envious, so much so that they invent their own ways and means of devotional regulations without following the acharyas. As such, even if they make a show of constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord, they cannot relish the transcendental taste of the holy name. Therefore, the show of tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, or unconsciousness, etc., is condemned. They can, however, get in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord and rectify their bad habits. Otherwise, they shall continue to be stone-hearted and unfit for any treatment. A complete progressive march on the return path home back to Godhead will depend on the instructions of the revealed scriptures directed by a realized devotee. I'm going to read text 5 also, but will explain text 24 in detail. Text 25th. Athabhidehi angamano nukulam prabhash se bhagvat pradhanaha yadha Veya Sakir Atmavidya Visharado Nripitim Sadhu Prishtaha. Translation. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us, as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukdev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. Purport. Knowledge explained by the previous Acharya like Shukdev Goswami and followed by next like Sutta Goswami is always powerful, transcendental knowledge, and it is therefore penetrating and useful to all submissive students. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the second canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutile Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutile Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Hare Krishna. Before starting the class, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude and humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas present in this call. I seek all of your blessings to speak on this verse today. And also today is the start of glorious Kartik Mass. So happy Kartik Mass to all of you. If we have some time, I would like to say like 2 or 3 lines on the importance and the glorification of Kartik month, if time will permit us. And Vanchakalpataru Vyashakripasindu Vayevacha Patita Nama Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So again, the translation. Certainly that heart is still famed, which in spite of once chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration does not change when ecstasy takes place, tears fill the eyes and the hair stand on end. So in this verse, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he has clearly explained the importance of chanting and hearing and following the process offenselessly. So the chapter has the name Change in Heart. So at the end of the chapter, we can see that Prabhupada is emphasizing that if there is no change in heart, then what happens? So let's just see, when there is a change in heart and we are chanting offenselessly, then all these symptoms, netre jalam gatra, ruheshu harshaha, tears fell from the eyes, trembling happens, perspiration, ecstasy happens. So all these things happen to a person who chant and hear properly and follow the process very nicely without offenses. But let's see from where it starts. For that reason, I just took the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 23.14 to 15, which explains 9 stages of devotional service. And also it has been explained in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu also by Srila Rupa Goswami, who is our Rasacharya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 23:14-15. Adau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangosta Bhajana Kriya Tato Nartha Nirvritti Syad Tato Nishta Ruchis Tataha Atha Shaktis Tato Bhavas Tatha Prema Bhu Dan Chati Sadhat Kanam Ayam Premanaha Pradur Bhave Bhavat Karmaha. Thank you, Mataji, for putting up on this. So there are 9 stages of devotional service. So we will explain. The translation is already given, but in the beginning, one must have preliminary desire for self-realization. self-realization, when we come to the temple, or before then, there is a stage before then, when we start questioning to ourselves, who am I? Why I'm here? Why I'm suffering? All these things, all these questions when come to our mind, then we start connecting ourselves with different organizations which provide religious solutions. If I clearly remember from the journey back home, a book written by my Guru Maharaj, he explained very clearly that while he was a child, he started questioning himself, who am I? Why I'm here? And all these curiosity about self, this is the preliminary stage, preliminary desire for self-realization. And when that happens, then we start associating ourselves with the people who are spiritually elevated. That brings us to next stage of sadhu sangha, or association with saints. Why it is the mentioning of sadhu sangha and not just the sangha? Because we start associating with the people who are spiritually elevated, who are on this process of devotional service. And why we are associating with them? Because we want to know more about the process. We want to know how we can get inside the process. And then when that happens, we start associating with the spiritually minded people. Then in next stage, we want to do something more. And what is that? So that is bhajan kriya. That's the third stage, bhajan kriya. So Prabhupada, in one of his lecture, he is mentioning that bhajan kriya means when one becomes very anxious that I want to execute the devotional service. And why it is happening? Because of the sangha, because of the association of devotees. It's happening. We get anxious to serve the Lord. We get anxious to go ahead in the process of devotional service. And then when this anxiousness happened, then what happened? We try to take the shelter of spiritually elevated person, or we can call spiritual master, spiritual master, and we get the initiation from the spiritual master. And when he gives us the initiation, then we start following all the rules and regulations in our ISKCON and in our Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya. We follow 4 regulative principles, and then chanting, hearing, and other different things are there, which a person start following. So this brings us to bhajana kriya, or performance of devotional practices. So Lord Shri Krishna, he mentioned in chapter 4 in Bhagavad Gita, verse 34, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinah. He says the path of spiritual realization is very difficult. The Lord therefore advising all of us to approach a spiritual master, but in the line of disciplic succession from the Lord himself. So this line of disciplic succession is coming from the Lord himself. So at that time, a person start following rules and regulation and start doing bhakti. So here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are 2 types of bhakti, and it is also mentioned in the purport of this shloka, of this verse also. Vedi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. There are 2 types of bhakti. So Vedi Bhakti is devotion, which is based on regulative principles. And Raganuga Bhakti, that is the devotion that follows in the wake of spontaneous love for the Lord. So, or spontaneous love, or the natural desire to serve the Lord. That's called Raganuga Bhakti. Raga means natural desire to serve the Lord. So Vedi Bhakti, what is Vedi Bhakti? So Vedi Bhakti, as Rupa Goswami is describing, that when one has faith in the scriptural injunctions, because of the association with other devotees, he has the faith in spiritual injunctions. He is ready to follow all the spiritual injunctions but still he don't have that spontaneous love for the Lord, but he is following every other thing, all the rules and regulation. For the practicing devotees like me, who are just on the stage of, I would say, bhajan kriya, who already took initiation and following the process and all the other rules and regulation, and inclined towards scriptural injunctions, but don't have that natural instinct or love for the Lord, which has which has already which will arise in the heart of a devotee when he will follow Vedi Bhakti very nicely without offenses. So Rupa Goswami also is mentioning after accepting the Guru, we should all know that there are 64 different types, different activities and prohibitions which make up this regulated devotional service. It is given in Nectar of Devotion also, which is a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. But the three main regulations are taking shelter of spiritual master, being initiated by him, and serving him. So these, out of those 64, these three are the main, being initiated by spiritual master, taking shelter, and serving him. We can see that devotees in the temple or around us, they keep coming to the sadhu sangha, to sadhu sangha, associate with people, know scriptures, read scriptures, get so much involved in the process, but still they get hesitant to accept the spiritual master. And sometimes I even encounter such questions that why there is a need of accepting the spiritual master when we can read, we can follow the process, we can chant without any, without any spiritual shelter. And sometimes even people say that Srila Prabhupada is Jagat Guru, so he is automatically our Guru. So what is the need? But that's not true. If it would have been true, then Rupa Goswami, who is our Acharya, who is our main Acharya, and he was the leader of all the 6 Goswamis, why he's mentioning that there is a need to accept the spiritual master, go into the shelter. So accepting a spiritual master is very, very important to get progress in the devotional service. But because of our mental speculation and because of our faithlessness, devotees or the bhaktas, they don't accept anybody their spiritual master. We in ISKCON there is a line of disciplic successions coming from straight from Lord Krishna, and now there are so many Vartaman Guru Vrinda in ISKCON, and we should have faith on them, and we should have faith on our authorities, whether it is a temple authority or whether it is spiritual authority, GBC. And that's how, when we have faith. When we don't have faith, then our bhakti life of our bhakti or devotional service eventually will get destroyed. And that's a big offense, that we don't have faith in the process, or we don't have faith in the people who are running the process. So it's very important, as it is emphasized by Srila Rupa Goswami himself. So we should, all the devotees who are very serious, who are listening to classes, who are coming to temple, who are very eager to perform devotional service, should definitely take initiation from a spiritual master, and thus there will be a constant progress into the devotional service of a person. And now Srila Rupa Goswami is saying, among the other 61 activities, the 61 out of 64, 3 is accepting Guru and serving him, getting initiated by him. These were 3. And then among the 61 activities, 5 are considered to be most important. First, associating with devotees, singing the holy names, hearing the Bhagavatam, residing in Mathura or any holy dham, and worshipping the deity with faith. So because this is the start of Kartik month, and we know that Kartik month is so auspicious that any little devotional service we do, it gives us many-fold times of results than in any other month. But because we all are practicing devotees, we are regular devotees, so for us it's the time to do something more so that we can gain from this month. And Srila Rupa Goswami is very beautifully describing associating with devotees. How beautiful it is that on the first day of Kartik, we all are associating with each other this morning and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the essence of all the Vedic scriptures, or the mature fruit of all the ripened mature fruit of all the Vedanta Sutra, Purana, Upanishad, everybody. And this position of Srimad Bhagavatam has been given to Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Vyasadeva, who is the author of all other Brahma Sutra and Vedanta Sutra. I'm not going to go into that story, how he was unsatisfied and how Narad Muni told him to write Srimad Bhagavatam, and how this Srimad Bhagavatam is flowing from Lord Krishna himself. But we know the importance of Bhagavatam, and that's why we are associating with each other every day to hear the most beautiful and pious verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Singing the holy names, Kirtan. Singing the holy names, Kirtan. So Kirtan means chanting, and chanting of holy names individually and also in congregation, where in groups chanting. And also chanting refers to Kirtanam, is also referred to saying Hari Katha, or about the activities of the Lord. What we are doing right now is also Kirtan. It says that Shukadeva Goswami is the best Kirtaniya, but we can see that he is not taking Kartal and he is not and he is not singing, but still he is the best Kirtaniya. Why? Because he is reciting the glories of the Lord, of the Lord, and about his devotees. So he is a person Bhagavat, and he recited this whole Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of all the people, especially for the people in Kali Yuga, as we see that there were questions asked by the sages in the first chapter of Canto 1. Hearing the Bhagavatam, we already discussed how important it is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is a Galitam Phalam. So we are eating the Galitam Phalam through the ear. So how important it is. And residing in Mathura. So many of us will think that we are not going to go to Mathura or Brajdhama. How we can say that residing in Mathura. So Srila Prabhupada said that every temple he has given, it's non-different from Vrindavan. It's non-different from the Brajdhama. So whenever we go to the temple, and even in our homes, we have deities of Radha and Krishna or Gauranitai and picture, and Damodar. In Damodar month, we light a lamp in front of Damodar, in front of Yashoda Damodar, and we sing Damodar Ashtakam every day at our homes. So that's also non-different from the holy Dham, because Krishna is residing here. The service of Krishna is going on by the devotees of the Lord. So that's what residing in Mathura, literally, if we can go to Brajdham and any other sacred places, it's wonderful. But if we cannot through our bodies, then through our mind, we can go. As Prabhupada has mentioned in his purport, that Vidhi Bhakti, or regulative devotional service by the limbs of the body, is now stressed herein in relation to the mind. So this Vidhi Bhakti, which Prabhupada has mentioned, right, in this purport, that now in this verse, how it is stressed to be this Bhakti to be done by mind. So we perform Diya, we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we reside in Mathura or Vrajdham. So what is the use if we go in the Vrajdham, we reside there, but our heart is in America, or our heart is thinking are my relatives in America doing? How is my house protected there? And all these things, if these thoughts are coming, even if we are in Braj Dham, then what is the use? So it is very important that we follow Vedi Bhakti by our mind, although it is also recommending in the purport that our body should follow the devotional service or devotional process, like all the regulative principles, 4 regulative principles, they are related to our body. But still, through our mind, we should try to follow, not try to, we should definitely follow this Vedi Bhakti as explained by Prabhupada, and also explained by Rupa Goswami here. So Prabhupada, Prabhupada has given one of these lectures on this shlok, on this verse, and he is saying that how it is very important that Cheto Darpan Marjan, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mentioning that it is important, how it is important to clean our heart. Then it is very important to clean body, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Cheto Darpan Marjana. To clean our heart, it is very, very important. If we are not cleaning our heart, just chanting and then thinking, criticizing devotees and not following the rules in our mind, or we are watching movies and in our mind some illegitimate things are going, but through our body we are following, then it's just we are following, but we are not yet accepted what is there in the process of devotional service. And that's why sometimes we wonder that we keep chanting, now it's been 30 years or it's been 70 years or so many years of chanting, but nothing is happening to me. My mind is still in my kids, my mind is still there, my mind is still here in making money. Why it is happening? Why holy name is not working? Holy name is complete in itself, but it is also the responsibility of a devotee to take this holy name very seriously. Like for medicine, if a doctor prescribes us the medicine, he gives us the dose and the timings. But if we are not following the dose and the timings and all those stuff, and we are just taking medicine any time of the day, or we are overdosing ourselves and not dosing ourselves, then what's going to happen? It's not going to work on our body irregularly. So it is very important to go inside and do the bhakti with our subtle consciousness. And subtle consciousness is much more important than the gross, than the devotional services done by the gross body. Sometimes we say that even if we cannot perform a bhakti through our gross body, then we can still perform bhakti through our mind. I am right now I'm thinking of a story which I read, I think in one of the books. I don't remember exactly the book, but that there was a Brahmana who was in his consciousness, in his mind, he was doing worshipping Lord Hari, and he was taking all the paraphernalia to make sweet rice. And in his dhyan, I think, I don't remember from where I read it, but in his dhyan, he just put his finger into the hot sweet rice, and it got burned. And he got so surprised. What happened to my finger? I was thinking in my mind. So Vidhi Bhakti, which we are following, is very important to follow through mind, also with the association of devotees. But when we are in the association of devotees, we tend to do namaprad, and those namaprad and those aprads are also mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami. So in temples, usually before chanting of holy name, we usually recite 10 offenses 10 offenses which we should avoid so that we can chant properly. So I think for me, those 10 offenses when we recite in the morning, that also become a ritual now. So it's like our mind just take everything, because we keep doing it, then mind also start taking that thing as a ritual. So I have to keep reminding myself, no, it's not a ritual. I have to follow this. It's not the ritual. So in the temples, we just read and then we start chanting. But same thing, we keep doing it again and again. But Prabhupada is saying in the purport, how beautifully he mentioned that heart is steel framed or stone. That heart is a stone, which after even chanting the holy names of Hari is not melting, is not shedding tears. But sometimes when we hear this, and then we think, okay, now let me shed some tears in the assembly or in the temple tonight when there will be Damodar Ashtakam going on. I'm going to cry and I'm going to shiver. But all these symptoms should come naturally. And these symptoms come at the stage of Bhava Bhakti, which we still have to go. I think we are still on Bhajana Kriya. So it should come automatically. And it should not be that we are trying to imitate it or force it on ourselves or thinking inside ourselves, okay, now I have to cry. Now start crying. We should not be doing that. So because even if we start imitating them, then our bhakti will got destroyed. Because it always says that Krishna is Patit Pavan. Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patit Pavan, but Krishna is not hypocrite Pavan. He is not Pavan for those who are pretenders or Prakriti Sahija, as Prabhupada has mentioned. Krishna is not Pavan for those who are pretenders, but he is Pavan for those who are Patit, who are actually humble, who actually humble themselves by the process of devotional service. So, and the last is worshipping the deity with faith. Yes, when we worship deity, it should be with faith. So this is the faith seems like the first stage of devotional service, but this faith which Rupa Goswami is mentioning, it comes and in Bhajan Kriya, and that's a stronger faith that this deity is Krishna. This deity is not stone. He is Krishna himself. And that's how when we follow all these regulations of Vedi Bhakti, and especially those 5 regulations. So these 3 regulations of 3 activities, not regulation, 3 activities of accepting spiritual master, and 5 activities are very important. If we cannot follow all the 64, 61. Okay, so yeah, and then when we follow this with practice, with practice, then the next stage of Anartha Nivritti comes. So Anartha Nivritti, when we can decrease our unwanted attachments, unwanted desires of this material world. When we follow the process very perfectly without offenses in Bhajana Kriya, then what happened? Then then Anartha Nivritti happen. And we are still stuck in the stage of Anartha Nivritti, when all the unwanted things, they just leave us. And when unwanted things, and before Anartha Nivritti, there is no chance of getting into Bhava. So if we get into Bhava before Anartha Nivritti, then again that Anartha Nivritti stage will grab us and bring us back to again Anartha Nivritti. So it is going to happen automatically when we follow Bhajana Kriya very, very sincerely and without offenses. But before coming onto the mature stage of Bhava, if we just jump on it, then what is going to happen? We will become a religious hypocrite or a pretender, as as Prabhupada is mentioning. So this Vedi Bhakti, Vedi Bhakti will not take us to the spiritual. Vedi Bhakti will not take us to spiritual loka. This Vedi Bhakti will take us to spontaneous love of Godhead, or Raganuga Bhakti. And then following the Raganuga Bhakti, we will be able to go back we will be able to achieve our ultimate goal of Goloka Vrindavan. So after Nishtha, when there is a steadiness, we just stuck in there stuck is not a good word, but stuck in a good sense. When we stuck in there, then we start getting the taste. We start getting the taste of bhakti. We start getting the taste of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then when this happens, then we get attached. When we get attached with the devotees, with the temple, with everything spiritual or connected with Krishna, we get attached, and then we get onto the stage of Bhav Bhakti. So we should not think that even if we get onto the stage of Bhav Bhakti, we cannot fall back. We can still fall back, because we can see the example of Jad Bharat in Srimad Bhagavatam, how he got attached with a deer, but because he was on the stage of bhava, he still remembered his previous births. He still remembered who he was. He was the son of Rishabdev, and Rishabdev, he himself was the incarnation of Lord. So he is a good example, as well as a good example for us to understand that how even if a devotee is very exalted and onto the stage of bhava, he can still come back. So we have to be really cautious about the material energy which is going on around us, and also offenses. Although there is no mention of Jad Bharat Maharaj doing any offense, but he got attached with the deer, with the baby of the deer. So it's very, and there is a deer in everyone's life. We all have a deer. So we have to find out who is our deer. So who is my deer and who is your deer? We have to find out. And we have to be really careful that even by following all these processes and all these devotional stages, once we pass Anartha Nirvriti and go on to Nishtha, and then Ruchi and Ashakti and Bhava stage, we have to be careful. He is my dear, or she is my dear. This is my dear. My house is my dear, or this is my dear. I have to be very, very careful with my dear, and then with becoming careful in mind, and also no offenses even through the body and mind. Although it says that in Kali Yuga, it is okay that if we commit offenses in mind, but we should try to avoid as much as offenses we can, because again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam and in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, everywhere it is mentioned that we should chant here offenselessly. And that's why once we do that, then we start getting those symptoms of falling tears and trembling and getting into ecstasy for the Lord. I am really far away from that stage. I have no eligibility to speak about that, but still, time is getting. But still, I think, but still, it is very important to understand. When I was reading this purport, I was thinking in my mind that Prabhupada has given a whole lecture in his purport, and there is no need for any explanation. But still, somehow or the other, we should still try to listen and try to put the emphasis on this point, that how it is important to avoid offenses, how it is important to do the Vedi Bhakti through mind, how it is important. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 23, text 18 to 19, which Prabhupada has mentioned in his purport, Shantir avyartha kalatvam viraktir manaschunyata asabandha samukt kantha nam gane sada ruchi asakti stad gunakhayne pritis tad vashati stale iti adyo nubhava Syu Jata Bhavan Kuru Jane. And the translation is, When the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior: forgiveness, concern that concern that time should not be wasted. Yes, in Kartik month, we all of us should try not to waste a single moment without chanting or without thinking about Krishna. Detachment, absence of false prestige, hope, eagerness, taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord, attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and affection for those places where the Lord resides, that is a temple, or a holy place like Vrindavan. These are all called anubhava, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. So the seed, when it starts fructifying, then all these symptoms happen. But before happening all these, before start fructifying the seed, we should never imitate. And our duty is to generously follow the process as Prabhupada has given it to us. Prabhupada also mentioned one of the very important thing in his lecture on this verse, that Goswamis in Vrindavan, they used to chant, keeping in mind the numerical strength. Haridas Thakur, he was chanting 300,000 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So our prescription, because Prabhupada is our doctor and we are sick, so our prescription is only 25,000, not 100,000. So it is not very difficult. It takes at most 2 hours out of 24 hours. So we should chant 20. So we should chant to at least 2 hours very seriously without offenses. It is very important to progress in the path of bhakti. So I can see that it is 8:45. I just want to say 2, 3, maybe for 5 minutes. I want to say the glories. I want to say there are glories of Kartik month or glories of Sharad Purnima. So this Kartik month is very, very glorious and is very, very important in the life of a devotee, and also for those people who are not yet in the process. We can see this Kartik month, the personified deity of this Kartik month is Srimati Radharani, whose name is Kritika or Kartika also. And after this month, there is a month of Margashish. And Lord Shri Krishna mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that he is Margashish in the months. So beautifully, how beautifully these months are actually lined up before. So Radharani is coming before then Krishna. In our Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, we chant Hare Krishna. So Hare Radharani and Krishna is Krishna. So that's how Kartik month is coming, and then Margashish, month of Margashish will also come. In Sanskrit, there is a saying, Manava Utsav Priya, that human beings like festivals. So this is a month of festivals, and there are so many festivals which come in this month. Lord Shri Krishna performed so many leelas, so many pastimes in this month. There is a reason why Lord Krishna chose this month to perform so many of his pastimes. As we hear from other different speakers in this month, there will be Damodar Leela, Deepavali, and appearance of Radha Kund, and so many other pastimes Krishna has performed. But the very important pastime, and the pastime which is which is the prime pastime or the topmost pastime of Lord Shri Krishna is Ras Leela, which happened yesterday. Yesterday was Sharad Purnima, and because our deities, ISKCON Philadelphia deities names are Radha, Shishi Radha, Sharad Bihari. So I thought that let me just speak 1 or 2 lines, although it was not my topic for today. So this Ras Leela happened on the full moon night of Sharad Purnima, and very beautifully how Krishna performed Ras Leela with his topmost devotees, gopis, and in Rupa Goswami's Ujjwal Neelamani, it has been described the kinds of devotees, and it described that what there are different kinds of devotees, different kinds of gopis were there. I'm not going to get into it because it's a very big description. And before getting into such leelas or before meditating on such leelas, we should think what was the first shloka which was given in chapter 29 of Canto 10th of Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's very important, because we are starting with the Kartik month and there are so many leelas are coming, and sometimes we misunderstand those leelas or those pastimes of the Lord. So it is very important to hear this verse, chapter 29, verse 1st, Canto 10. Shri Bhadrayani Uvacha Bhagwan Apita Ratri Sharadot Pulla Mallika Vikshyarantu Manas Chakre Yoga Maya Upashritam. So as we know that there are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam, and those 12 cantos represent different limbs of the Lord. We all know the different limbs of the Lord, what represents Srimad Bhagavatam, but out of all those 12 cantos, Canto 10 represents the face, and out of represents the face, and out of 90 chapters of Canto 10, those 5 Ras Panchadhyaya represents the sweet smile or muskan, or smiling face of the Lord. So how beautiful it is. This Rasa Leela has been performed, and it is written that Bhagwan himself, who is equipped with all the 6 Aishwaryas, 6 opulences, who is equipped with that, and who does not need any other thing from outside, started performing Ras Leela with his gopis. And here Shukadev Goswami is representing as Bhadrayani Uvacha. That means the son of that person who sat under the Badar tree. In Hindi, there is a word called a bear. So under the tree of Badar, he sat and he wrote all these scriptures, and how he was so elevated. He is the incarnation of Lord himself, and the son of that Vedavyas and Shukadev Goswami, who was transcendently situated since the time he came out of the womb of the mother, and he is also the spiritual parrot of Srimati Radharani. How he is reciting, and how Bhagwan, who is complete in himself, is performing the Rasa Leelas. And the last line is Yoga Maya Upashritam. So all the pastimes of the Lord happen under the internal potency of the Lord. It's not under Mahamaya. So we should not think that Lord Krishna is just enacting his pastime basis on enacting his pastime just like we human beings associate with each other. So we should be very careful in our mind, and we should follow this Kartik month, Kartik Purnima, according to our capability. And I'm very thankful that I get this time to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. If I made any mistake because of my limited knowledge, please pardon me, please excuse me for that. And now I can open, and the floor is open for questions, for discussions, for corrections, anything. Please excuse me for my bad throat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Absolutely enthusiastic class. That was really nice. You're just a little too fast for me. By the time I pulled up the verse, you had finished talking about it. That was that's okay. But if anybody has any comments, reflections, realizations, please just raise your hand and go ahead. I think you finished out the chapter, and it was a very good way to start the week. Reflecting, introspection, looking within to see where we are in our devotional service. A very, very important topic. I mean, that was an amazing purport for us to look within and examine ourselves, check with ourselves and see how we are doing and how our devotional service is going. Mother Vindhyavali, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Madhavi. Thank you very much for your nice long purport, but you took on time. You're just, yes, you are fast, but some people are slow to get it. But that was really, really, you just said you covered all the points. And then one para I'm seeing If the reaction does not take place even after continuous hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So that is the thing. Sometimes it happens, it takes long time, but that is at least it is fast, or we do it right away, or not jumping or like that, but taking slow process also. Slow and steady wins the race. That's it. So we will get it. But with your bad throat, you just did everything very nicely, and that was I just really appreciate that. And a lot of things you covered in this, and we know like where we stand in this. Some points, it's very good. Now we do chanting and doing listening Bhagavatam, everything. How much we're getting into our brain and how much we're putting in action. Those are the things. So it really affects a lot. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Mataji, for
God bless you.
the point. I'm sorry.
Golokananda Mataji she has raised her hand, but I just want to read a chat message that PD sent. Mataji, Hare Krishna, you are full of enthusiasm. Thank you for such a wonderful class. Go ahead, Mother Golokananda Mataji.
I'm sorry if I am too fast. I'm really sorry. I will try to slow down.
No, it was not a complaint.
But
it
you
was
have to
just,
cover a long purport, Mataji.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry about it. I really wanted to speak about Radha Sharad Bihari because yesterday I got the opportunity to see them. And when I saw them, I thought that tomorrow is the class. And if the class goes without glorification, little bit glorification, because yesterday there on other forum there was a class, Mataji, on glories of Sharad Purnima, which I gave. So I had notes with me, and I'm like, I can, if I don't glorify my Radha Sharad Bihari, and if I have the notes, then why? What is the use of speaking today? So I'm sorry I did not have this.
No, I shouldn't have said it was not for that. Golokananda Mataji, please go. I have 3 hands up, so we have to.
Sorry.
Thank you for glorifying Radha Sharad Bihari. It's very important, to glorify, a worshipable deity, because here we all live in Philadelphia, It's good to fix our mind on these deities, like the Goswamis. They have the personal deities, Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda, Radha Damodar, like because they have personal deity where we can meditate on. And we all in Philadelphia, we should thank you very much for mentioning Sharad. And we don't hardly talk about Sharad Purnima. I know in India, they cook sweet rice at night and they just offer to and the deities wear white colors. So thank you very much, and thank you for a very nice, a lot of content. You speak
in one of the classes,
long purport.
In one of the classes,
chanting, my observation throughout the years, and that's true, it's very true. Prabhupada said our heart is like still hot, it's not melted when we chant, and the thing is that, like even we have not reached that stage, we still have to keep on going, have hope against hope that one day we will come to that stage, of bhava and prema. So that is our goal. So
when I was reading the purport, I was thinking that Prabhupada might be mentioning about me, that this heart is such a stone and not melting even after chanting. So it's like, whenever kids they try to mischief and we is like, don't do that. And then I was thinking, it's just like Prabhupada is telling me, don't do that after reading the purport. But thank you, Mataji, for your realization.
Rona Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Madhavi Gaurangi. Thank you for a very nice class. I wanted to ask you to maybe elaborate a little bit more on the Anartana Vritti stage, especially because the other stages, they're very blissful. You get some sadhu sangha, engaged in devotional service, bhajana kriya, your faith awakens. He becomes steady all the way up to prema. But that anartana vritti stage is, can be very difficult because you have to look at all the bad things that are residing within us. So how can you speak a little bit to how we can embrace this
So,
phase
Prabhu,
of devotional service and not become discouraged?
So, Prabhu, as I was reading, so it mentioned that at the nirviti stage, it comes automatically. You don't have to do too much of a hard work for that. But you have to do hard work for your bhajana kriya, as mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. There are regulations and activities. We should be following that without offenses. And when we are doing that, then automatically our lust, our greed, our attachments to this material world will start going to get decreased. When we start doing bhakti, and when we at the same time we are attached to the material things, then certainly in my life I saw that group of my friends changed from material people. They changed from now devotional people. I mean, the people in the temple. I have only those friends, I mean, in the temple. Before, when I was in college, I had people who were not in this process, who were very materially inclined. And there were some people also who were drinking, eating meat, and all those were my friends too. But now I have those friends only. And so all these things and attachment. Before I can give you my example only because I'm not saying I passed this stage of anartha nirvritti, but how it is happening slowly and slowly. Before, I was very attached to Western clothing. Now I am attached to devotional clothing. So all these things, little things, we can see that how they are making difference because we are in the process. I'm not following the devotional service very seriously without offenses. But when I was reading this purport, then I was thinking in my mind that how, if we follow this offenselessly and seriously, I am still in the bhajan kriya stage because the 64 regulations and activities which Rupa Goswami mentioned, I don't think so that I am following those. As Mother Vidyavali said, that it's a slow process. So when we are hanging in bhajan kriya stage very firmly, then anartha nirvritti will come automatically. Then at that time, you don't have to deliberately put your effort onto it. Right now, we are putting on our effort. Okay, I should not watch movies. Okay, I should not be greedy. Okay, I should not do that. I should not do that. This is the stage of bhajan kriya, regulated devotional service. We are not in anartha nirvritti stage if we are doing that forcefully. So this is bhajan kriya. So if we are doing bhajan kriya, this is one of the regulation that we should not read mundane literature, we should not watch mundane movies, etc. So when we are doing this very sincerely, following it very sincerely, then anartha nirvritti will come automatically. What happened to all the great devotees of the Lord? If we look in the life of Srila Prabhupada, who is a born devotee, he was I'm nobody to say, but he was on the stage of bhava and then prema. He used to think about Krishna 24/7. How he surpassed that anartha nirvritti and all those stages. Because when we formally follow the bhajan kriya stage, it's like one stage is following the other. The shraddha, when shraddha comes, that shraddha is very what we say, very weak, meek shraddha. And if with that shraddha we just, if we just turn off the switch right there, then nobody will come to sadhu sangha. That light of lamp just blow up and then person starts sadhu sangha. Think about a person. There are so many people who keep thinking, who am I? What I'm doing here? But still they don't come to the temple. They don't associate with people. They still remain on that stage. So we have to make an effort, sadhu sangha and then bhajan kriya. Anartha nirvritti will come up automatically. Nishtha will come Ruchi will come, Bhava will come, everything will come automatically as explained by Srila Rupa Goswami. I hope I explained a little bit whatever I can, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. I appreciate that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. I hope, do you have any points, Prabhu, you can share with us too?
No, not at this time. I think you spoke very nicely.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Muktidatri Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Mataji.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
It was such a nice class, Mataji. I always like to hear you. I was thinking when you were like telling the story about the Brahmana who was mentally doing the service.
Swami, I guess.
Yeah, and that one I like. And one more story you said about like Bharat Maharaj, right? For the deer story. That one, like whenever I like hear that story, so like I was thinking, okay, I don't have any pet, so I will be okay. But when you said like, yeah, the house can be our like deer, and so many other things can be our deer. Yeah, that makes me like
deer, Mataji, I think we all have deer in our life. So who is our deer? That depends, DEAR or DEER. Who is our dear? So very important to.
Yeah, that we have to find out. We have to make sure that Krishna is our dear only.
Yes, and the difference is, Mataji, that Jada Bharat had only one deer. We have deers.
Oh my God.
So it's very important. So and this is a step ladder given by Rupa Goswami, and a very, very hard to walk on this. So it's not easy, but I think
imagine Krishna in those kids, okay? Then you won't feel.
That's true.
Yeah. David Prabhu, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji. I also, at the beginning, when I saw that you were doing this class today, you just thought how much I appreciate your enthusiasm whenever you do a lecture, and thank you very much for that. And I try to take notes, and I was kind of going as fast as I could, but you always give me a lot to go back to and look at. So thank you very much, Hare Krishna, for that. Also, I was thinking about the Anartha Nivritti stage. It's kind of like I have sweeter fruit. I'm no longer attached to the more bitter fruit. It's kind of like having a higher taste. Like things kind of do slip away. Like at first, you might give up things because it's I'm not going to be eating contaminated food, or I won't be smoking or drinking, and you give them up voluntarily or maybe with a struggle. But after some time, you're just no longer interested in it at all. So that kind of happens that way naturally, and I'm very thankful for that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I'm so sorry that I went little fast today. I think too fast today. I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh, no, not at all. Thank you. It's very great. Very great. Thank you.
I think Parikshit Prabhu came from YouTube. So please, Parikshit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, please step on hold of it since it's all goes to the Prabhupada. No, actually, I listened to the class.
Oh,
the entire class.
So you are PD, okay.
Yeah, I put PD at first because I wasn't, there was no tilak on my face, nothing. So I said, I just, and I put so it's PD. So that I was praising Mataji for his enthusiasm. Okay. Wonderful. And as far as, I know a number of devotees said, Mataji, you were going a little too fast. So let me remind devotees, it's recorded. You could always go back and get everything. Get everything.
That's true.
So, also it also helped me. I'm preaching this afternoon program at Harrisburg. And when you began to talk about the different, you talked about the 64 principles, and then you broke it down into the 5 and 1 for the spiritual master. That's 3 of them. And I said, you're giving me so many ideas for my class this afternoon. so much we learned now from this. And then I went back to Narada Bhakti Sutra and got even more information from this, which is all wonderful. So I was making connections, so thank you very much. You literally prepared my class for me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
We'll see. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So if I don't see any more hands up, we can end the class here.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
no.
asindhobhyo
Patita nama
Devyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Ma.
Happy Kartik Month.
Thank you very much.